Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network.
Before we got on the air, we were talking a little bit about listenership on this show and on your show. And for this show, people are upset with the media's portrayal of the president, especially with the debate. A lot of them, and I agree, are saying, had we just dropped it a day or two like a normal news cycle, there would not be a problem right now. Because, yeah, he had a bad debate. We all agree with that. But so what?
Well, I mean, after yesterday's NATO summit, I think it's going to have calmed a lot of people down. Of course, not our right-wing friends, because Joe Biden had a couple of gaffes. I'm like, oh, Biden had a couple of gaffes, so things are back to normal then? We're okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as opposed to the other guy who has a lot of gaffes and can't stop lying and raping, I'll take the guy with a couple of gaffes. But yesterday he called Zelensky Trump, and I'm like, that's nothing.
No, he called him Putin. See, we can all screw up.
He called him Putin. Sorry,
yeah, okay.
I once saw a guy in a videotape testimony confuse his second wife with a lady he raped. So this sort of thing happens all the time, Jody.
Exactly.
And he caught himself as soon as he called him.
Yep.
He's President Putin, then caught himself, and that's so bad. I guess I've got to go vote for the guy who's cleaning Putin's boots with his tongue right now. I mean, no one's going to change their vote to Trump based on this. The concern is the people are going to stay home. And what I'm telling everyone every night, and most of my listeners agree that the president's being railroaded. A lot of my listeners feel, 14 million. What about all the African Americans that y'all like to brag are keeping this party going? They showed up and voted. Now, if the president were, and I'm not saying he should, everybody, if he were to step aside, all of these people would still support the Democratic nominee. And what I just am trying to remind everybody, because I've got a lot of folks out there also who say, listen, we're afraid that Biden is going to lose against Donald Trump. Both sides here don't want Trump back in office. And we can all agree that come this November, we're all going to vote for whoever isn't personal friends with Roy Cohn, Jeff Epstein, Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, and has child Nazi Nick Fuentes over to his house for Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah. We're all going to vote that way. We just got to remember the most evil people in our country really want to return to the awful Bernie fan, Hillary fan wars of 2018. We can still just disagree on what the right way to beat Trump is for the next few months. And again, I'm telling everyone this because people are frothy. If the White House were to decide, and it could only be Vice President Harris were he to step aside, and he's not going to, and I'm not saying he should. If he would, please put away your porno fantasies of Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom on a white horse. We have a line of succession. We have a nominee who would destroy Donald Trump in a debate, a nominee who would be a prosecutor against the convicted felon, a nominee who would, by her very presence, put Roe v. Wade front and center, and who would put the age issue completely in the Republicans' lap. So we've got that, or our old guy who's already beat this man and is probably the safest bet in the country to get 270 electoral votes, the most legislatively accomplished president of my lifetime. And I kind of just feel like we got to stay calm. They won't announce anything before Donald Trump picks his running mate.
True.
Donald Trump has to pick a horrible running mate, Jody, and it's either got to be the eyeliner model, the doughy eyeliner model, J.D. Vance, who called Trump Hitler and now polishes Trump's boots with his tongue, or Doug Burgum, who's literally being considered for one reason. He makes Donald Trump look young and sexy. That's the only reason. Doug Burgum brings no one to this ticket. We're talking about him because he makes Trump look young. That's the criteria going on here. So let Donald Trump pick a ticket that excites no one. Let's go forward. And I promise you what we're talking about and freaking out about in September won't be what we've been freaking out about for the last 2 weeks.
I agree with you on that. I think that the right wing went nuts because when the president got his first question, which seemed to take 100 minutes to ask, it was like the entire press conference was that first question to me because I turned it on. He's still questioning. I'll wait for the answer. Turned it back. He was still questioning. It was insane. Anyway, but he said he called Vice President Harris Vice President Trump. And it's like, really? Who cares?
I do that 20 times a day. I mean, he cares because he's under the harshest microscope that's ever existed. And for the first time in our life, first time in this country's history, a sitting American president is undergoing what the HR department calls a performance improvement plan. A sitting American president is under a very, very, very intense audition to keep their job in public in front of all of us under all the scrutiny. And you know what? Joe Biden's a big boy. He's 81. He can handle it. If he can't, we deserve to know. So let's go have a campaign.
Well, even Donald Truthed, whatever that is. He said, crooked Joe Biden begins his big boy press conference with, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, though I think she's not qualified to be president. Great job, Joe. And then Biden tweeted out later, by the way, yes, I know the difference. One's a prosecutor and the other's a felon.
Oh, I love it. I didn't even see that. But it's great because, of course, Donald Trump's going to be a petulant little bully. Mm-hmm. We don't expect anything adult out of him.
Right.
So he's going to say that sort of stuff, which now invites increased media scrutiny on Donald Trump's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gaffes, not to mention his lies. You know, the real story yesterday, the real story to me yesterday, even more so than the NATO summit, was that after 2 weeks, the New York Times finally got it together to put out their op-ed that Donald Trump is not fit to be president. After 2 weeks of 1,900 Joe Biden is old stories, they finally come out there and remind us what this campaign's all about. It is between Trumpism and not Trumpism.
Right.
And I'm telling you, folks, we're picking what we want to watch. Right, Jody? Every time you vote, you vote for president, you vote for the show you want to watch for the next 4 years. Which reality show will it be? Folks, you're choosing to send Donald Trump back to the White House or to send Donald Trump to his next 3 criminal trials. And if he goes to the White House, it's a really crappy rerun we've all seen.
Very, very true.
Lord, that's three brand new true crime series we can binge watch in 2025 while our president's not busy giving Alaska back to Russia.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Let's watch 3 true crime shows next year together, everybody. I'm ready to binge with all y'all.
There you go. Hey, Karen in Chicago. Hi.
Well, good morning. Oh my gosh, John, thank you. I'm sitting there like, yes, and that too. It is astonishing to me. I watched a press conference where, Joe Biden had a gaffe in the beginning.
Yeah.
Big deal. He spent the entire time giving a master class in foreign policy, his knowledge of trade, on and on and on. The mainstream media, these rich, white, elite, protected, privileged men primarily need to stop. Enough is enough. And as you guys have been saying, everybody misspeaks. And by the way, I'm ready for bed at 8:30 at night, and I'm 59 years old. I've had
4:30.
enough.
Oh, yeah, 4:30. 4:30.
4:30 here.
Yeah, and I'm 55.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nonsensical, and it's gotten to the point where they are so ridiculous.
Yes.
It's just like we're tuning them out, by the way, and we're listening to people like John Fugelsang, and we're listening to people like Hal Sparks. We're listening to people on Midas Touch Network. We're listening to people. Roland Martin is amazing. It is to our detriment if we piss off our base. Okay, black women are our base. They're pissed. Women are pissed. There are women bleeding out in Texas right now. There are women who are being charged for criminal charges against them for mishandling a corpse, because they had the audacity to have a miscarriage.
Right.
We have the climate change issue that we need to take some really aggressive action on. Right now, too, John, I don't know if you heard this, but apparently part of the Project 2025 agenda is to implement PragerU in homeschooling and also religious education. So basically, they're going to be indoctrinating these children to be little brown shirts.
Yeah,
they're going to be the Hitler
Let's say grooming.
So,
let's say grooming.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just tell people of what's going on. Let's grooming them to do it.
Yeah.
And by the way, none of this is Christian.
Yeah.
Nothing they're fighting for. Nothing they're fighting for is Jesus. Christian nationalism is taking the teachings of Jesus and the will of the founding fathers out into the woods at gunpoint and digging 2 holes.
Yeah.
That's what Christian nationalism is.
Yep.
You have to hate the Bill of Rights as much as you hate the actual teachings of Jesus for Christian nationalism.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Karen.
Yes,
Have a wonderful
absolutely.
day, honey.
Thank you. Have a great weekend, you guys. Great show.
Thank you.
Have a good one this weekend, too. Good luck in Boston, John.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I love Boston's like one of my favorite cities in the world. I went to
I love
BU
it
when I was
too.
18 and fell in love and had my heart broken for the first time. And I used to do an NBC morning show out of Boston, and it's one of the greatest cities in the world. We haven't played there in such a long time.
Yeah.
And so glad that Stephanie and Frangela and Hal are hopefully going to make their flight and get there in time.
No kidding. Speaking of reproductive rights that Karen just brought up, the GOP has blocked yet another reproductive rights bill. Isn't that sweet? They blocked it on Wednesday. It was the Reproductive Freedom Act, Freedom for Women Act. Senator Patty Murray of Washington. The protections enshrined in Roe would be restored, moving towards a future where reproductive freedom for all. The vote was 49-44. Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, thank you very much, voted with the Democrats. Schumer voted no so that he can bring the bill back up because that's just how things work there. But they blocked 3 bills on Tuesday which aim to affirm freedom to cross state lines for abortion care, protect doctors providing legal abortions from being punished for treating patients from other states, and support training for more providers. That's what bothers me is the GOP is fine with somebody getting health care in another state as long as it's not abortion care.
Yeah, and they'll have a bounty and track you down. That's how much they value liberty. I mean, I think all I can add is a smart Democratic Party would reintroduce this bill every week between now and Election Day.
Same.
We make so much fun of our Tea Party cousins when they kept putting up that same old repeal Obamacare bill week after week.
Right.
Remember 70 failed Obamacare votes, how we laughed at them. They knew those votes were never going to pass.
Right.
They were doing it to rally the troops. And in the case of the Republican Party, they were doing it to make the troops pretend they were doing something for them.
Right.
This was back in the time of prayer against care, when they were getting right-wing Christians to pray that more Americans would die with no health care.
Right.
And they were calling a plan that forced you to buy private insurance socialism back then when we were really stupid. But by getting out there and having the vote week after week, it rallied the troops and it let them know what the priority was. I would love to see this bill go up again and fail next week. And by the way, just yesterday, Arkansas, the folks in Arkansas got all the signatures they needed for the petition to go ahead and have it on the ballot this November. But apparently there wasn't a signature on a form, on an application form, and they were denied. After getting all the signatures, the Republican-controlled state of Arkansas is still keeping abortion off the state ballot this November. That's a story that was a blip yesterday.
Yeah.
It should be huge. Democrats, please reintroduce this bill next week and keep voting on it every week. Let the Republicans make fun of you. We know you need a way to convey to the people what you're doing. And by the way, if I could just say, this is the time for old man Biden, because he now has these freaking Marvel superpowers, the Supreme Court gave him. Go big on policy.